All right, pretty sure I'm live. Let me just make sure real fast. I need at least here. And I'm pretty sure. No, I think about it in the show yesterday. I may have told Sheets 10:30 Eastern time and not 10 o'clock, which would be all on all on me. If that is the case, because he did say he'd do his best to join, and typically he is on time. So I'm pretty sure I gave him the wrong time. Let me finish setting some stuff up over here, and then we can kind of go in and talk about this. And you know what the funny part is I had totally forgotten that I went live for an hour on Friday just talking about the practice. Totally forgot I even did that. I I opened up my Cup Series Phoenix sheet and I was like, why the heck do I have so many? Why do I have so many tabs? Why do I have so many sheets in this thing? And I was like, oh yeah, we went over practice. So first off, there's plenty of time between now and the start of the contest. I mean, the contest locks in 5 hours and 42 minutes. Okay, so there's plenty of time to listen to this show. If you are curious about the practice data in general or in detail, how drivers did in detail, you can go check out that video that I did on Friday. It's an hour and 50 minutes, put on 2x. You can get through it pretty fast, and you can go listen to all the other people that you do and stuff. So I won't be focusing on the practice data as much in this video because we had already done that. There's no reason to repeat myself. The only thing to note is that I split the practice up between where the Hemrick wreck was and everything after that. Secondly, for me, I tend to struggle a bit more than I would like to at short tracks, specifically in the Cup Series. Like the Xfinity Series, I'm perfectly fine and have an average return there based on my stuff. Same with trucks, but like Cup, I either get it or I just miss it completely. So I am completely approaching this race just throwing stuff at the walls in terms of approaching. I am completely reevaluating my approach for the specific race and just starting over because I've not been very happy with stuff. So maybe you agree with the drivers I like, maybe you don't. For me, I'm like I literally can't be any worse than what I have been doing. So let's kind of break in and go over the drivers and stuff. And the last thing I need to do here is probably add this to the recent form so we can see. We'll include the grid too. Actually, no, we don't need to do that. If you guys have any questions or any comments or anything specific, please do put them in the chat and we will go over them as I kind of look at it. And also I have my camera right here. I'm going to move this slightly. So I need to see what is viewable on here. We're going to go ahead and delete this column. We're going to go ahead and delete this one here. And I'm going to go ahead and put the salaries here. Now I understand that I'm probably covering, this little bottom half here. As I scroll down, you'll be able to see them. So for me, when I'm looking at this race specifically, yet again, this is the grid. I'll even put like grid here so people who join will be like, what the heck are we looking at? Why are you wasting our time with all this stuff here? So for me, when I look at this race, I am personally, I have no idea what to do. Like in terms of upfront. Let me tell you the drivers that I like right now, just so we can get that out of the way, so we can, because I mean, clearly not everybody is going to hit value, not everybody is going to score well, but my primary drivers that I want to focus on are Hamlin, Reddick, Chastain, Bell, Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, and Joey Logano. Those are my plays that I think are the safest. Those are the plays that I foresee them, that I would give them the best chance of leading laps and getting fast laps. This race is going to be long. We got to really try and predict what is going to happen in stage 3. Like stage 1 doesn't matter. And like you either get stage 1 right or you don't. Past like when you nail stage 1 in terms of does Hamlin lead, is Gibbs able to scrape off fast laps led? Gibbs or Elliott's probably going to take over second and run second up until Hamlin. Can he run him down? Is Jones going to maintain running position inside the top 10 all day? I don't necessarily see Byron leading laps in this instance. When we look at the pit road and everything there, like I think that has a real chance of keeping Gibbs and Elliott up there and yada yada yada. So like once all that plays out, stage 3 is really like is Keselowski able to get up through the field? Is Bubba Wallace able to get up through the field? Is, where is Logano in stage 3? Is he able to take over, a 5th position because he's like moved up through the 2 stages? He's starting 9th, entering stage 3. Like, that's what I'm trying to land on. And for me, yet again, I have not been happy with my approach. So like if I seem different compared to like the other videos or even on 1.5s, I'm like completely starting from scratch in my own stuff. And so when we're looking at Denny Hamlin, for example, and we're looking at how he's performed, we have all the races last year at the short tracks that I care about. I've highlighted Martinsville as light blue because I do not want to truly respect that type of data for this instance here, but I want to see where everybody runs here. We see that Hamlin has slowly increased his speed and how he performs at these races here. There were some narrative comments from Reddick about how bad the car was. Hey, what's going on, Sheets? I'm glad that you gave me an update. From Reddick's view, when I'm looking at how he is performing for Reddick, I'm going to answer Sheets' question real fast. When I'm looking at how Reddick is performing, I don't necessarily view him as somebody. I got to find his thing. He's starting 6th. His pricing is at $8,500, which is very doable, very easy to pay off. Let me bring up the pit road really fast. I think, and also, at least for me, in terms of like driver speak, very similar to like coach speak, I think it is kind of not overvalued, but like every driver wants to win. And specifically, if a driver feels that they don't have a true chance of like winning a race, then they're going to be like real pissy about their car. I like Reddick's pit stall. He has a very good chance of maintaining. And I mentioned this in Discord during the week. Like the 2311 pit crew issues are truly so big. They're such an issue. They're like huge problems. And that is very similar to a NFL player. You're going to love this comparison. It's very similar to an NFL player playing with an injury, okay? Coming back after an injury, okay? That is already built, and this isn't towards you, Sheets. I'm just talking in general. For me, that is already built into the projections. Reddick and Bubba Wallace having god-awful pit crews is already built into the projection. It's such a big thing that like Bubba Wallace last weekend, it literally sent him 3 laps down because they couldn't get a lug nut off the car. Okay. We know that like the best chance or like the best case for these pit crews is that they're like able to maintain their driver in the position that they came into pit road in. Anything past that, we expect them to probably lose 2 to 3 positions on pit lane. Everything, or at least for me, all that is already baked in the projection. So if I'm like, I like Reddick today, I like Bubba Wallace today, I'm acknowledging their pit crews. I am factoring that in. I'm like, they're still great plays. I like where Reddick is. I like where Bubba is. When we're looking at Reddick specifically in these races, okay, and where he's able to maintain in terms of actual speed, we see that last year, and yet again, I'm hesitant on using last year's data because it's a new package, but it seems very similar that it's going to be difficult to pass, and I don't think many things are out of the ordinary. I know we have SHR starting up front. And different guys. But for the most part, like when we look at where Reddick was last year, he was like an 8th place guy in terms of speed. When we look at his practice data, which if you have questions about this, I explained this in the Friday video. But he's pretty decent on averages and everything we're looking at. Starting where he's starting at $8,500, like I'm perfectly fine with him as an 8K play because and I like him. I'd rather be more aggressive on him because I think a lot of the field is probably going to go to Brad Keselowski and or Buescher. And I would prefer to take the starting position, the better pit stall, at his price at $8,500. And so I like Reddick today. As I continue to go through and kind of go back to Hamlin, I think it's going to be very difficult for Hamlin to completely fall apart in this race. Like when we look at where he was at last year, when we look at where he's at in practice, when we look at where he's at here, when we look at his long run speed, which is going to be, important, and especially compared to the people that he's starting around, I think Hamlin has a pretty decent car. And so I haven't built my lines yet. I've actually I haven't even sim stuff yet. I haven't even really truly looked at anything. But I have Hamlin as my highest projected guy, and so that probably means that I'm probably going to have at least 60. I'm probably going to cap it at 60%. Yet again, I find myself very terrible at short tracks. And normally, like at 1.5s, I'll play 75, 80% of somebody, 85, like any day of the week. I don't care. Short tracks, I'm going to cap probably Hamlin at 60% in case he just completely messes up. So I can have 8 lines because I'm doing 20. So I can at least have 8 lines that are still alive if he completely messes up. As we continue to go down this here and look at the people that I actually care about, we're gonna try and like I don't want to go through every single driver because I don't think that really helps anything. But when we're looking at Gibbs, it's where he's at, clearly slower compared to where he's starting in the races last year. When we look at his speed on average here, it's certainly less than stellar, but pit road is going to be huge here. I think that we see Gibbs probably drop to where he is in this range here in these races, to where he's probably running anywhere from 8th to 12th, 8th to 13th in this race. With where his pit stall is, there's a real chance that he can consistently gain 2 to 3 positions on pit road here, and push him back up to like 6th, 5th on a restart or whatever. Yet again, due to the fact that how Phoenix works and where you're at, I think there's a real chance of him possibly scraping off fast laps. Certainly, if he gets laps led, like I would not be shocked by that, but I think that's hard to come by. I have Gibbs at slightly under a 5x value right now, and that's probably aggressive. If you're using my projections here, I'm probably going to land on 20 to 25% Gibbs, which is just 4 to 5 of my lineups, and then just X them out completely. Like once I build my Gibbs lines, just get rid of him. No reason to keep him in the pool, but that's where I stand. I'm perfectly fine with Gibbs, and I will personally have Gibbs today. When I look at Elliott, and the reason I'm focused on the top 3 guys this much is because that we typically see the most laps led and fast laps come from the top 3 starting positions, and this is why, like, dude, it's so weird because like clearly the best cars are not starting 1, 2, or 3 in this stuff. Like, okay, we can argue Hamlin, but like Gibbs, Elliott, Jones, um, are certainly less than stellar. When we look at Elliott's stuff last year, Elliott's been decent at this track. When we look at his track history, yeah, again, I think that's kind of overvalued. When we're looking at him specifically, I think he comes around like the 6th, 7th best car today. Him at $8,800 is the only thing that keeps him in play. If he was any more expensive, I would have no issue, or I would have no interest in him. I'm probably going to have 10% of Elliott past that. Once we get to Jones, which I would argue, like when we're looking at where Legacy was last year, and I know they were with the Chevy team, like they were truly slow. He has real speed in this car. We went over it Friday. It's speed that I can't see any reason to truly cut it down. Like, does he win this race? No. Does he maintain a rank position inside the top 10? Yes. Arguing the same thing with Ty Gibbs. Yet again, either, you know, right here on the back straightaway or these pit boxes in the corner are ways that you can maintain a running position at this track, have a decent time on pit road. I like where he's at in pit lane. Like that is a true thing that can keep him inside the top 10 all day. Very similar to Ty Gibbs. I have Jones for very little um, fast laps and laps led, and I have him finishing projected for 7th right now. At that, with very few fast laps, he's blowing his salary out of the water. Yet again, very similar to Gibbs, probably going to cap him at like 15, 20%. Build the lines, and these won't be lines that have Gibbs in it or whatever. Build those 3 to 4 lines, and then just X them out and not worry about it for the rest of the day. Like, especially for these guys that I'm very fishy about, that's probably just going to be my approach because I'm not, like I said, I haven't been happy with my play at these races. William Byron, probably not going to play. If I'm wrong here, this is probably going to be a disaster. I have him projected to finish 5th. I like Reddick beside him. Byron is very expensive at 11,000. It is. I wanted Chase. and I want to play people like Lagan, even when, like, we're talking about like value plays like Bubba Wallace because he's like 7,000, whatever. Value plays in terms of good return on his pricing. Like, I want to play Joey Logano. I want to play Ross Chastain. I want to play Christopher Bell. I want to play Denny Hamlin. Like, I cannot prioritize Byron lineups today, which you know, probably my first true stand. Unless, let me look if he's showing up at all in my stuff. I doubt he will be, but let me just see where he's at. And so there's a lot of things I use in terms of my lineups with my projections, and so um, I personally use SaberSim and stuff. So I use a combination of Sheets' ownership, um, Sims, but like for this instance, I'm just going to purely look at projected lines with Byron, projected score with Byron in those lines, and his highest lineup that I have. Yet again, if I'm not high on him, he's not going to show up a lot, but he is like 700th. Like, I have very, very little interest in Byron today. So that is probably my first true stand of like, well, I've already lost. Once Byron takes the lead in stage one, I already know I'm cooked, and I've thrown away $440. I like Reddick, already went over that. Gregson, Briscoe. GPP. Like, I have no interest in Briscoe. I have no interest in McDowell. I have no interest in Hocevar. That's all I'm going to say there. Gregson, similar to Gibbs. If he can maintain a position, which I just hate saying that because that doesn't help anybody out. Like, look at this man. Like, he's starting. This man is starting 7th. This is where he's at in speed. This is where he's at last year. This is where SHR is at. I know. I mean, coming out of the gate with speed at Las Vegas was quite shocking. I know we landed on him in the industry and stuff. Priest and him in general, like, that was shocking. Like, if anybody was like, "Man, I told you Gregson would be a good play," like, shut up, bro. Like, nobody thought he'd get a top 10. Like, what are we doing victory laps on this about? But when we look at Gregson, I would, if I would much rather. I know it's two drastically different price ranges, but if I'm going to take like a wicked wild, like, ooh man, what if situation, I'd rather just go to Gibbs, man. Like, I don't think I'm going to have much Gregson today at all. If max, it'd be like 2 lines, like 10%. I have very little faith in this when we look at everybody who is probably going to pass him in these races. So once we get past that, now we can actually talk about people I want to talk about, because like, we have to acknowledge what the top 4 to 5 drivers can do, because it's Phoenix and stuff like that. Now we get to Truex, Chastain and Bell. I love Chastain. I love Bell. Let's go ahead and look at Bell first. We understand that Bell probably has the best car in terms of speed that we saw. We understand he's not built for the short run. It's no surprise that he did not make the final round of qualifying. I'm not very concerned about that at all. When we're looking at where he's at, like, this is, I find it very hard to believe that Bell doesn't drive his way up into the top 5 at some point. Most likely have a real chance of getting the lead in stage 2. I'm playing Bell. If I'm having like 60% Hamlin, I'm probably going to have, excuse me, I'm probably going to have, what do I have him at? I'm going to guess right now that Hamlin and Bell are my 2 highest known guys, which is accurate. That is very accurate. I'm so 55 probably on Bell. And I would probably want, out of those 11 lines, probably 7 or 8 with Hamlin and Bell together. That is probably how I would realistically build. And for the most part, like when we talk about Gibbs and Elliott and really lineup construction in general, I know when we look at Phoenix, positions 1, 2, and 3 have the fast laps and laps led for whatever reason. Maybe it's been construction, maybe it's just been luck and other things. I have been horrible at Phoenix following that. I just cannot build lineups like worth a shit at Phoenix. Yet again, I'm like, well, I can't get any worse than just not cashed in general. So like, I'm wanting like 20% Gibbs or whatever. I have, 10-15% Elliott. I'm gonna have a lot of lineups that are like Hamlin and then place differential, Hamlin and then people like Chastain and Bell. That's how I'm gonna primarily build today. And if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like literally, for me, I literally can't get any worse than what I've been doing. So, um, some people might already see that as like a big red flag. You're already making mistakes and stuff, but that's probably how I'm going to be building. So I like Bell a lot. I find it very hard to argue things against Bell. When I look at Chastain, like Chastain at $9,000, I think he's an amazing play. I think he should be a priority. Like when we're looking at where he's at in this range here, you might be like, "What are the colors here?" Watch it on Friday. I don't have time to go over that. But when we look at where he's at in the practice, where we look at where he's at and the stuff that I'm looking at, long runs and everything, I think Chastain runs like inside the top 8 all day and has a real chance of getting the lead at some point. If we get a lot of crazy restarts and stuff, or if things get stupid late in this race, I like Chastain a lot. I don't think there's a real reason to say more about that. Busher, probably not going to get to Busher unless my lineups tell me to. At the moment, they're not. When I look at Suarez, him at $7,300 is purely going to be, can I get to that range yet again? I like Bubba Wallace more. He's $400 cheaper. He's my priority in the 7K range. It's going to be very difficult to get more than one 7K driver in my personal lineups because I like Bell, I like Chastain, I like Hamlin. There's more expensive guys that I want to focus on up top. So if I'm in the 7K range, I would focus more on Wallace or I'm going to focus more on Wallace personally because of that. Suarez will probably fall to the wayside of maybe being in like 2 to 3 lineups. And that's where that is. Not playing Blaney. I'm not playing Larson. Could be wrong. Like these are plays that I get synced right then and there. But Larson and Blaney have a long way to go. They're at a significant disadvantage on pit lane, which is huge here. I know when we look at where Ryan Blaney falls in line at, this is where he's at. But we've already seen, and this isn't because Allgaier wrecked. This isn't because certain things have already happened in these races this week or in yesterday's race specifically. But when we look at pricing and how difficult it is to pay this off at a place like this when you're competing against multiple lap leaders, especially late in the race, I think Blaney is too expensive. Like this is not, oh, Blaney's starting wherever the hell he's starting at. He's starting 16th. Like he can offer place different. Like that. If you're playing Blaney as a PD play, that's a disaster. If you're playing him because you think he's going to lead laps and win this race, like that is the only criteria that we can use for Blaney, as the only criteria we can use to play Larson. I don't see that for either of them. I'm not going to be playing either of these guys in the 11K range. Keselowski, I don't know if I can get to him in the 8K range. I'm pretty sure he's my. Let me look at these. I'm pretty sure that he is the guy that if I'm in the 8K range, so like 20 Gibbs. I'm trying to imagine how long I'm going to building in my portfolio. If I got like 20% Gibbs, I would probably have like 25% Keselowski when it's all said and done. Not playing Nemechek, not playing Stenhouse, not playing Hemrick. I like Wallace. I like Logano. No reason to go through that. Once we get to the back of the field, this is where things get really interesting, and I have no freaking clue where I'm going to be at in the value range. No idea, because it's either, and mainly due to the fact that I'm paying basically for really cheap guys up top. Like when we think about it, like Hamlin 10.5, Bell at 10,000, we're not in the 11K range. We're not having to dig and play these god awful dudes in the 5K ranges. Like we're not having to punt with Haley. We're not having to do that. I'm finding myself being in the 6K range like comfortably. So it's either like possibly Gregson as my like cheapest worst play. Barry's 72. I like Wallace, man. Barry will probably be very chalky. Am I fading him due to chalk, or am I being low on him? No, I just think Bubba Wallace outscores him. You know, I would prioritize Bubba Wallace over that. But when we look at the 6K range and kind of where I'm going, where these lines are building, I'm not really playing guys in the back outside of Cindric and LaJoy. And those are looking like the cheapest guys that I am going to play. You know, and so when we're looking at Burton at 54 and where he runs and where he's been, like I don't see that being viable. When we look at Bowman and where he's at $7,500, yet again, I like other 7K guys more. So like Bowman might be more popular because he's based on, you know, he offers place differential. Whether I'm right or wrong about that, like so in the lineups that don't have Bubba Wallace, it'll probably default to Bowman, but I don't have a true opinion on him. I'm not playing Kraus. I don't really want to play Priest. You know, I just really don't want to build that range. And I'll look at the comments in a minute. I just want to get through all my thoughts so people at least have that. I'm not playing Zane Smith. Gillen, 59. I guess if you're in the 5K range, which I guess if you're paying up for people, you're probably going to be on Gillen a lot. But I don't really see a reason why you need to do that. Not playing Austin Dillon. I don't really see much from this. Kyle Busch at 92. Like if I'm, where is Kyle falling in line here? Where's Kyle at? So Kyle is, in my opinion, very viable in lineups that have one additional expensive guy in it. Like, duh, that's the construction. But like, I will be playing Kyle Busch in the very few lines. Yet again, if I'm at like 60% Hamlin, 55% Bell, I have Hamlin and Bell in roughly 8 of those together. That means I'll probably be, I'm trying to think, anywhere from like 20 to 25% on Kyle Busch. So I would be underweight, probably to the field possibly. But those lineups would be specifically built for Bell crashing out, running into issues, possibly Hamlin crashing out, running into issues, somebody else leading lineups. Like Kyle Busch has a real chance of working out in a race that finds a lot of chaos, specifically with the expensive guys. And if you if you like Blaney, if you like Larson, I would encourage you to just play Kyle Busch. Like I don't think there's any reason to even play the 11K guys today. But that's my opinion on him. So when you look back and you're like, why'd you only play like 20% Kyle Busch? Like, you know, this guy smashed and stuff. And I'm like, you know, I can't play everybody aggressively, or I can't play everybody that I want. I'm not playing Gralla, not playing Haley, Cindric, LaJoy, no real opinion. They're just showing up as the guys who are fitting in my lineups. And at that point, like, I'm already getting to everybody else that I like. The lineups are ending with LaJoy or some of them, not all of them, but like they're ending with like Corey LaJoy, Cindric starting last. Like I really can't even like talk shit about those lines that are being built, and that is my opinion on all this stuff. It's a completely, at least in my opinion, just a different approach than on what I've been doing, because I just haven't found the success at some of these short track races that I have been wanting to, and especially when practice, and especially with how the queue breaks down up here. Like my first opinion is like, dude, there's a lot of guys who start in the top, like especially in the top 10, who just fall out of the top 20 in this race. Like man, that's like my gut instinct and stuff. So maybe I'm just I don't know, paranoid, worried about. I don't know, that's where I'm at. Got 82 of you guys here this morning. Let's go ahead and see what you guys are saying here. Thank you for being here and joining me on this Sunday morning. What's going on, Ryan? What's going on, Kay? What's going on, Kanams? Yeah, it's brutal. It happens. It happens. Sterling survived. Happy for him. Another great day for SRT. Long time Patreon member of mine. Now here with TrueDFS. Congratulations on him for finishing 4th, I think, in that race. What's going on, Mayo? It's gone Phila. Who's your lock day? Kind of already talked about that. Would you play Gibbs and Hamlin in the same line? Let's see, I already covered that. Drivers are saying the new package is hard to drive in traffic. Should we figure that into play and play the guys up front? Yet again, like I have played, and maybe this is like, what is the term? Like cognitive bias or like bias in my own head. But I have played. I'll tell you right now, my last great race. I don't remember if it was the spring race last year for Martinsville or the year before, but it was the one that was ran during the nighttime, and Byron won it. I don't remember if I played the optimal and cashed or like won with a huge train, or if I finished like eighth or seventh, because I remember I won like $3,000 in that race, and that was like, oh my god, this was the best fucking short track I've ever done. Like I actually made like 6x money. I have no idea, and then past that, I mean, I've done decently at Richmond, but like, still, I don't know. I feel like it's gotten stupid in runs. And anyway, like, I have played the guys up front, and something always happens to me. I have always I've been aggressive stacking the front. I haven't. I'm like, man, dude, more place differential worked out. Man, I stacked the front. That's what the optimal was looking like. And it didn't work out. And like, so like, I'm personally, for me, I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing stacking the front anymore. I'm not doing that. I. It takes a lot for me to completely abandon something, and I have not had the return that I have been wanting at all. So like, package showing very hard to pass. Pit road showing very hard to pass. This package sucks. NASCAR is a bunch of idiots. These idiots can't. I mean, bro, this is the same company who thinks Phoenix is the track that you should be deciding the championship at. Are we surprised that these guys like are like, well, man, this package we designed to make the racing better is like worse? Like, that's not shocking. If you can't pass in this race, Gregson, Briscoe, McDowell are fantastic plays. Like, I'm not building with them. If they maintain a position inside the top 15, I've already lost. It is already over at the start of the race. I'm trying to build for stage 3, and hopefully I can just land on whoever leads in like stage 1 and stage 2. That is all I'm doing. So like, Tyler, at least that's where I'm at. That's why I like doing it, because you at least know my approach, right or wrong. And I do wish I would get more. I mean, you can tell me to kill myself and stuff. Like, I never block people or whatever. So like, you can criticize me or whatever. Like, if some guy crashed or whatever. But like, I don't get much feedback. Certainly negative feedback, because I think I explain my thoughts well enough that I never really run into situations like, well, why the hell did you play that person? Well, people understood why I played him or my approach and stuff. So like, I don't know. I don't seem to get much hate in that regard. So like, for me, Tyler, dude, I will not. I probably won't be playing much of the front guys. So will I play a lineup that has Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, and Elliott in the same lineup, and or like 3 of Hamlin, Gibbs, Elliott, and Jones? Dude, I don't think so. I I don't think so. I don't think I will. I don't think so. That has worked. That has been optimal. I just don't think I get to that today. That's why I'm so hesitant on Jones. Like, if you literally, if this race plays out the way it should, with you can't passing, Jones is like a great freaking awesome play. His pricing, his practice speed, his pit road selection. If this package is that truly horrendous and you cannot pass, and we're on lap 285 of 312 and people have not been able to pass, Jones is gonna smash. I cannot fathom how stupid it will look to not play Jones if that is the case. And like, for me, I have him at like I said, I have him finishing 7th today. 4 laps led, 9 fast laps. That's 39.05 points. That just shatters the mid-K range. Absolutely destroys them. And I have zero faith in my projection actually happening. So like I just I'll probably have like 2 to 3 lines, man, and that's it. I just don't. I Dude, I suck at these tracks. That's why I was hoping Sheets would be here or make it for this one, because I would just ask, what is he showing in the projections and stuff? Like, what is he getting that's drastically different from me? Because I feel like I am like taking on water. I feel like I'm in a canoe, just taking on water. I'm about to drown. I hate these short tracks. My whole like I hate that Bristol, truly. Like I hope they do it again this year, like the Survivor series that they did for NASCAR in the last like 10 weeks last year. It was like a $10 entry, and it was just a Survivor for 10 weeks. You want to know the one track I got crushed at? You want to know I mean, it was like printing money, because it's like King of the Beach or King of the Speedway. It's like that payout structure, and it was just inner lines in it, because you were going to beat everybody. As long as you could make it to the final 3 rounds, you were going to just print money. And you want to know what track I lost the majority of my lines in? Frickin' Bristol, man. I hate Cup Series short tracks with a passion. I'm just so horrible at them. And it's one where it's like I'll listen to other shows and I'm like, man, I played that driver. They said to play him. I played him. And the lineup finished like 4,000 places outside of the cash line. It wasn't even close. Like I don't know, man. I don't know. I am so yet again new approach. People that I like, I've mentioned and gone through. Those would be a majority of how I build my lines and stuff, because I just need to do something different here. I mean, past that, we don't have a lot of questions. We don't have a lot of comments or anything. I'll hang out for like another 10 minutes or so. 5 hours and 6 minutes until lock happens. But I think past that, those are my pins. I guess we can talk about the practice stuff really fast. So why I wait? Like, type in anything, dude. Type in your favorite sports team. I really don't care. I just want to see some comments before I leave. When we look at the practice laps in general, the major thing that happened was that Hemrick spun and caused the yellow about halfway through. And so what I did was I went ahead and split the practice session into basically the first half of practice and the second half of practice based on that yellow. And I know we had, we went back green and then we had a debris caution and stuff about like 2.5 minutes later after they went back green. But what I basically did was I just looked at the first half practice, and then I looked at the second half practice. And, some of you might get mad that I just took averages, but I only took averages over 125 miles per hour at the line, so it is excluding some of the slower laps. And so when we're looking at basically what I just declared as like FB1, FB2 and shit, practice 1, practice 2. So this is like full practice average speed, just average speed. Practice 1 and then practice 2. And I was hoping that this would potentially show either what happened in the first run for certain people, how they adjusted. And I understand that P2 can include Q laps, but for the most part, like those are 1-2 off laps. You still have like a huge amount of laps before that, helping average stuff out. And so in terms of looking at practice data, that's why, I have 3 different practice points here and stuff on top of where these runs are at here. I don't know. This is a tough one, man. This is a really tough. This is so frustrating. I hate, not even for personal play, I hate in terms of content that I don't know, man. I hope this goes differently today. I'm very, very curious on how this approach is going to be different compared to the field and stuff like that. And I mean, nobody's really typing anything, so I guess I'm going to end up calling it here, guys. I do appreciate you being here. We were here for 40 minutes, so you still have time to go listen to other people. in terms of content, really fast. So personally for me, which was so interesting, I haven't looked at the F1 stuff yet. I haven't looked at the Xfinity stuff yet because, I just kind of shut that down and stopped caring once everybody crashed out. But I'm curious about going through how the other enemy guys played Xfinity specifically, and where the chalk is here for this race. I think that's going to be the only thing I kind of care about, is where ownership is going to come in, and how drastically different I am compared to the field, specifically on Reddick and Bubba Wallace. And if I'm hearing like true red flags from other people, I might. No, fuck it. Why do different? We're doing things anyway. Literally can't be any worse. So in terms of taking content, and I think I just want to see where the public is and how drastically different I am compared to that. And I do believe that is it. Fading the high on guys is Elliott. Fading high. I have no way to answer that question, Mayo. Especially after being here for 40 minutes, you should know that that is not a question I even have the capability to answer for this weekend here. I'm gonna end it here. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Sheets' ownership is what I'm primarily going to use here, because he has been very, very accurate in terms of where people actually come through. That is what I primarily use whenever I'm building lineups. If you want that, if you want my projections, if you want basically, a discount on SaberSim, because you get SaberSim plus our stuff, you can get that through TrueDFS in the comment section below, and not comment section, in the description of this video below. Past that, I think that's it, guys. Best of luck, and we'll see how this Phoenix race goes with this new package that it might be like 17 steps back in terms of good racing. Thank you, Lathan. I mean, I have good days, man. I've been paying taxes for several years because I'm able to turn a profit in DFS, but I am like personally like a personal vendetta against short tracks for the Cup Series specifically. This has been such an abusive relationship. It's not even funny. So we're gonna try something drastically different here. So I'll see you guys later. Best of luck. Thank you for being here. No shit, Hamlin. If he leads, or no shit, Mayo. If he leads all the first stage, finish top. Yes. What do you? Okay, we gotta end the show here because no duh. The sky is blue, grass is green, asphalt is black or light gray. I don't know. I don't know what else to say here, man. We breathe air. Like what other straightforward things we're gonna say. I'll see you guys later, man.